Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 4 of our Radical Self Love video blog series. This week, our theme was freedom from guilt, breaking free from the shackles that keep us in self judgment. And what I want to cover today are just a few concepts and ideas and teachings that I resonated with for many years, that served me for a time on my journey. And then in the last year or so, I came to realize that perhaps they weren't serving me in cultivating a more loving, compassionate relationship with all aspects of who I am. So we'll cover a few of those today and maybe explore some new perspectives and new ways to look at some of these concepts so that we can be in a more loving relationship with our own heart and have less tools that we use to judge ourselves. So, the first concept that I want to explore is this idea of quieting your mind or having no thoughts. And this is something that's very common in yoga, which I teach. I'm a yoga teacher. And a lot of times, maybe we go to a yoga class or we think about meditation and we think that it means that we have to have a completely quiet, still mind. And then we sit down to meditate or move through a yoga practice and thoughts come up because that's what the mind does. We need the mind to exist in this world. We need thoughts to exist in this world. So if we go about this concept from a sense of judgment, right? If we're having thoughts and then judging ourselves for having thoughts, it kind of defeats. It can feel very defeating. We can sit down to meditate and all of a sudden we're bombarded with thoughts and then we beat ourselves up because we think that we're supposed to have no thoughts. And so what if thoughts are just the brilliance of the universe expressing themselves through your consciousness, through your mind? And doesn't that feel so much better to maybe be in a meditative state or to be watching thoughts arise and be okay with it and see, well, what if this is just the brilliance of the universe expressing itself through thoughts within my own mind? That's cool. That feels so much better than cycling into endless rounds of self-punishment because we can't quiet the mind. So that was one. That's the first one that I just started to give myself a little more. I just started to be a little easier on myself with that. Like, okay, cool. My mind's really busy right now. Awesome. I have an abundance of thoughts, and allowing myself to embrace that and love that instead of feeling like I was failing because I couldn't quiet my mind. So the second concept that I'd like to touch on today is concept of ego. And again, I'm just sharing what resonates with me at this point in my journey. I realized that the way that I had heard about and perceived ego left me feeling like there was this horrible, evil part of me, the ego, that needed to be destroyed. That it was the ego that was sabotaging me. It was the ego that was keeping me small. It was the ego causing me to have conflict with other people. And again, for me, the way that I perceived that, I spun it to feel like there was this horrendous part of me, this horrendous aspect within me that I had to clear or get rid of or overcome. And it felt very separate. There wasn't a sense of integration with that at all. And it felt like there was an enemy living within me, this ego that I had to transcend. And so, what if ego and these limiting thoughts and maybe sabotaging patterns, what if they're simply aspects of our inner child that have yet to be integrated into the light of our heart? Right? So if we think about, like, let's take a limiting belief, let's say. Let's say we have a limiting belief around money that we feel continues to sabotage us. If we look at that from the concept of, oh, it's my ego sabotaging me and preventing me from having financial abundance, there's this, it kind of implies that it's something bad within us that needs to be overcome or cleared. It doesn't feel very integrative and loving, at least for me. But if I can say, oh, if I can pause and recognize, oh, there is an aspect of my inner child that has all of these beliefs about money, that has a lot of fears around money, whatever it may be. And if I can pause and slow down and turn to her within my own heart and acknowledge her and acknowledge her fears and honor her and what she's feeling and let her know that it's okay to feel what she feels and love her and be there with her and offer her compassion and support. Again, for me, that feels so much more uh, kind, gentle. It has an underlying sense of integration versus separation, right? So instead of this idea of ego, which to me just creates this sense of separation within, what if it's simply an aspect of your inner child that has yet to be integrated, has yet to be seen through your own heart's lens of love and compassion? So that's the second concept that I offer for you to explore today and see how all of that resonates with you. And then the third one is karma. And so I grew up, I had an interesting upbringing in my school setting. I went to a private Catholic school. So in my school setting, I had a Roman Catholic influence. And then in my home setting, my family was very spiritual and all about ascended masters and angels and the I am. So in my home setting, I was exposed to this spiritual realm. In the school setting, I was exposed to this Roman Catholic realm. And so from the Roman Catholic realm, I got embedded with all kinds of guilt. Guilt about sex and guilt about being a woman and all these layers of guilt, this idea of sin. And then I, graduated high school, went to college, really dove into yoga, really dove into more spirituality, and came across this concept of karma. And I think, again, for me, I really just ended up taking everything that had been infused into my life through Catholicism, all of these ideas of guilt and sin, and I just wrapped all that under the newer, prettier package of karma. But I was still using karma to beat myself up. I was using this idea of karma to keep myself in self-punishment. So the first year that I was trying to conceive, I suffered so much because I was using this idea of karma. I felt like I was being punished for enjoying my 20s too much. I felt like I was being punished for waiting too long to get pregnant. I thought I was being punished for something I had no idea I had done in a past life. And so, again, just for me, my mind, my psyche, I used karma as a means of making myself feel horrible. And so it really caused me a lot of pain. Even something small, like I would break a glass or stub my toe or hit my finger. And I would go into this whole mental energy consumption of, oh, why is this happening to me? This must be karmic payback for something that I did when I was 3, or something that I did in a past life, or because I was mean to so-and-so 3 years ago. And, the more that I started to feel into this, the more I realized, again, at least the way that I was using it, this doesn't feel very good. And I think maybe we even see, I'm sure you've all seen like comments like karma's a bitch, or they'll get what's coming from them, karma will take care of it. And if you just feel into that, it feels very punishing. It feels very um, vengeful and spiteful. And I think it's just, perhaps the purity of the concept is is pure and has value. Um, and I know that, at least for me, through my journey, it really became something that became distorted and used in a manipulative way internally to keep myself feeling bad about myself. So one day I crushed my finger in one of our sliding doors, and in the past, under the guise of karma, I would have spent all day, why did this happen to me? Why am I being punished? What did I do? Like, where do I need to reflect in my life to figure out what I did to get this karmic payback? And on this day, in that moment, instead of going into that whole cycle, I just paused and had this new perspective of, well, what if this is just coming up because my finger needed some love today? And so I smashed my finger, and now my finger is throbbing and in pain. So now can I be the mother to my finger in pain and just soothe my finger and offer it compassion and love and whatever else it needs um, to be okay experiencing what it's experiencing. And so unraveling from the perhaps twisted views of karma that I had has been so liberating and so healing and so freeing for me, because I'm no longer using it as a means of keeping myself in this kind of woe is me, why is this coming back around, what did I do to deserve this cycle. Now I simply see whatever is arising as the next thing in line, asking for my time and my intention and my love and my compassion. And so, again, maybe just sit with that and see how that resonates with you. Um, feel into your body. How does your concept of karma feel in your body? Does it feel good for you? And if not, perhaps it's no longer a truth. And if it does, then perhaps it is a truth still, and that's wonderful. Again, I'm not saying that the notion itself is bad or wrong. I'm simply sharing from my perspective, my vantage point, the journey that I've been through. I've come to just free myself a little bit from that concept and no justify or understand life through this sometimes confining box of karma and defining what karma is. So 3 areas in my life that I've integrated new perspectives to free myself from the perpetuating cycle of self-judgment and guilt, the mind, the ego, and karma. And so I hope these are beneficial for you. Again, I always encourage you to take time on your own, with these things that we cover each week, and see how it feels in you and connect in with you and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So thank you again all for being on this journey with me. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I love you, and it is such an honor to experience all of this with you. Have a wonderful day.